I think that there's a scene setter here that I want to actually talk about first. This is the first African president state visit since 2008. That should
That's
really
right.
set the tone for how important this is. The fact that Kenya has been chosen for this really underscores the role that Kenya is playing on the continent, and that Kenya also playing a more global leading role, particularly with the announcement today that it will be a non-NATO security partner for the U.S. So this is a big deal. It's a pivot for us in a big way that we needed to make. We are behind the curve in terms of our engagement with Africa on a consistent level. We're seen as being episodic, only coming to the region when we need something. And I think this message that we hear you, we see you as an equal partner and a strategic partner that Biden is doing during this visit is extremely important.
If you're with us on Bloomberg TV, you see the East Room at the White House decked out and ready for these two leaders. When they speak, we'll bring the conversation with you. And Madam Ambassador, I'll apologize in advance if our conversation is interrupted. There are a lot of audiences for the event that you just described, and China is one of them. To the extent that countries like Kenya have been left carrying heavy debt loads as a byproduct of the Belt and Road Initiative in China, what can the U.S. do to help? Is it through private enterprise, private investment, as this administration is saying, or does the government need to help here as well?
All of those combined, vis-a-vis China, we are behind the curve. In this visit, though, you'll see that we're focused on a number of things. There was a business roundtable that was held at the White House as well. There's a $1 billion deal on the table with Microsoft. You had visits to Coca-Cola. You had a state visit. Also, he went to Atlanta and met with business leaders there. And so it is a very multifaceted thematic trip. It is not only the security message, it's not only the democracy message, but it is the trade and investment message. American businesses want to trade with a country like Kenya because of its history of democracy, and we need to step up as the U.S. government to do more. You'll see that Prosper Africa, all the government agencies on the development and business side are very much involved in this visit, and they're excited about it from a trade perspective, from a foreign direct investment perspective. So all of those things are playing in this visit. And for those of us who worked on Africa for years, we see this as a big plus, not only for the U.S., but for the image that the U.S. is really getting it, that they need to be involved with Africa in a much more deep and comprehensive way.
Does Joe Biden need to go there now?
I think so. He had mentioned it earlier in his tenure. I know things on the ground in the world have changed so drastically, so I don't know whether that will happen between now and November. Realistically, I get that. But the fact that this state visit, I said, when you look at the time period, 2000 time where generations have come into leadership on the continent, not only just in business, but in politics. And we've been left out of that because we haven't shown the consistency that China has. And whatever criticisms that you have about China in terms of debt, those are true, but China can pivot faster than we can, and they have understood that, and they are trying to address that. But the other thing that I will say that China has had an annual meeting with African heads of state the 1990s, since at the end of the 1990s. And so you have this longevity there of consistency, including the foreign minister, which would be the equivalent of Secretary Blinken, going to the continent every single year at the beginning of the year without fail for all of that period of time. So we haven't shown this consistent engagement. And I think that I can't tell you how important this visit is. It sends so many messages in the right direction, and I really commend the administration for moving in that direction in such a high-level way.
Well, it is pretty amazing. We remember the investments that George W. Bush made as a Republican president. You were there for it as ambassador to the Congo, and there's been a bit of an interruption. To your point, it's been 16 years. How long will it be before there's another?
Well, I'm hoping that this is a wake-up call overall that, Africa is is here. It will have the largest population in the world in collectively, I mean, combined, in about a decade out. Right now, it's on track to have the largest working age population combined. That means if you combine the entire rest of the world, the African continent will have the largest working age population in about 10 years. And so when I lecture I talk to students and people interested in Africa, even from the American perspective, where do you think your markets are going to be? Who do you think your local and economic leaders are going to be? Where they're going to be? They're going to be on the continent, and they're starting now, and you see that now. And it's commendable that the Biden administration has recognized that